see say for my students. We see say for each other.
I see say because all of this matters.
We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies this community we're all a part of. So protect your everyday. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
This Girl Scout cookie season, we Girl Scouts would like to say thank you, America. Thank you, cookie cravers, Thin Mint enthusiasts, peanut butter patrons, shortbread devotees. Every time you take a bite of a Girl Scout cookie, it's good for us. Your coconut and caramel cravings are our chance to practice goal setting. Your midnight snacks help us learn to manage money. Your freezer's crunch is full of tasty treats. They're packed with entrepreneurship. That's right, entrepreneurship. You probably can't taste the business ethics or the decision making or the people skills, but they're in there in every single mouthful.
Every time you eat what's in the box, we learn how to think outside of it.
So raise a glass of milk
And raise our chances to reach our potential.
Eat up, America. We're counting on you. I'm Catalina. I'm Melody. I'm Katie.
I'm Devin. I'm Hannah.
I'm Addie.
I'm Juliana.
I'm Nicole. I'm Olivia. I'm Colette.
I'm Stefania.
And we approve this message.
The Girl Scout Cookie Program. Think outside the box. Children who grow up in poverty are part of a destructive cycle. At Child Fund International, we find this unacceptable. In 25 countries, we are vigorously fighting poverty and improving the lives of children and their families. Learn more at childfund.org.
Feel good. Here's another inspirational moment. Hello, this is Tom Benjamin. Your day will go the way the corners of your mouth turn. Now that's wild, isn't it? Just think about it. You can either turn the corners of your mouth up, or you can turn the corners of your mouth down. Take a look in the mirror. Turn it up. Always feel blessed. AM 1310, Delight.
Hello, I'm Cindy Booth, CEO at Child Advocates. We are more dedicated than ever to standing up for children who have been abused or neglected, including providing attorneys who directly represent them in court. And we continue our award-winning Interrupting Racism for Children workshops for the whole community. We want to build a better world for children so that their race will never be a predictor of their life outcomes. Join us. Learn more at childadvocates.net. Your voice, their future.
Paid for by Child Advocates.
If you're still waiting to get the COVID-19 vaccine, here's a request from everyone who's been vaccinated.
Join us. Join us at our kids' birthday parties. Join us at that new restaurant.
Join us at the ball game. Join us at your nearest vaccination center, where you can walk in today, no appointment needed, and get your shot. Find your clinic at ourshot.in.gov.
Black people.
You to join us.
Juice, Mom. Juice, juice, juice. Mommy, when are we going to the store? Mom, I want juice. Mom, juice, juice. Mommy, Mom.
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. That's right, the car seat. A car seat isn't one size fits all. You have to have the right seat based on your child's age, weight, and height. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. But there's a website that gives you all the information you need. safercar.gov/the right seat. You'll find out about types of seats, when to have a seat rear-facing, when to switch it to forward-facing, when it's time for a booster seat, and when it's time for your child to ride in the back seat with a seatbelt. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat. That's safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
145 over 92.
180 over 111. 182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself, I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke. My memory is shot. When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
a new life, but I'm gonna make it better. Coming back, to ask you, doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
If you came across a child struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you recognize a 13-year-old boy who gets into fights in school,
Not because he's a boy, but because he's hungry.
or a 2-year-old girl who cries all night?
Not because she's sick, but because she went to bed without enough to eat.
Or maybe a 9-year-old boy who hopes a friend invites him to a sleepover.
Not for fun, just so he can have it.
Or a 15-year-old girl who goes for walks over lunch, so her friends won't know she doesn't have anything to eat. I am the 1 in 7 American children who struggle with hunger. Kids you pass by every day, but never knew were hungry. I am child hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungryAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
We are WTLC AM, W224DI, W236CR, Indianapolis. Spend the faith and family summer with Indy's Inspiration Station, AM 1310, 92.7, 95.1 FM, The Light.
This is reality radio. The reality is that for far too long, there have been efforts to refocus the now $1.3 trillion annual spending power of the Black consumer. Over the past several decades, there have been numerous Buy Black campaigns, but still only about 3% of that $1.3 trillion circulates back to the Black community. So let's try it again. Each week, we will identify 3 Black-owned businesses on Tuesday and spend money with them for the week. The businesses for this week are:
Get your fireworks from Lynn's Fireworks. Visit facebook.com and search Lynn's Fireworks, LLC. Enroll your child in Vanguard Collegiate of Indianapolis. Visit bcindy.org. And dine at the Missing Brick. Visit themissingbrick.com.
The reality is that there is no better time nor more urgent need for Black support of our own than now. So, what's your reason? This is Reality Radio with Kathy Hughes. What's your reality?
Do you want a new house or your house repaired or remodeled? If you're looking for a professional company to give you a free estimate at no cost to you, look no further. Love Life Outreach Construction Company specializes in new build, remodeling, and repair projects. Love Life Outreach Construction Company can build or have your house looking new in no time. For more information, simply call 317-991-3150 or simply visit our website, LLOVT.net, for a free quote. Call today. Love Life Outreach Construction Company works for you. Call 317-991-3150. You'll be glad that you did.
The following is a paid program. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio 1, WTLC AM 1310, 92.7 FM, 95.1 FM, The Light, and its management.
Black people need to own our own businesses, which will provide an economic base. Teach our youth to become self-sufficient. Learn how to maximize our political affiliations and fight for criminal justice reform. You just tuned in to Black Power Presents with your host, Antonio Nitsko. Come on, let's talk.
All right, family, it's yours truly, Antonio Lipscomb. I am live with Black Power Presents, another wonderful, wonderful broadcast I'm going to bring to you. And I always have one of my good friends, one of the greatest minds, I believe, here in not only Indianapolis, but all of America, Dr. Thomas Brown. Are you there with me? everybody can hear you, Dr. Brown. I believe everybody can hear you because you got everything plugged in. Can you go ahead and just introduce yourself again to the radio listeners audience for those who might be new, and let's hear about what we've been trying to put together, Dr. Brown.
Okay, I'm sure. I mean, you're in the studio, and I'm telling you, I'm in the studio. Are you hearing me good and clearly?
I'm hearing you good and clearly. I'm hoping somebody on Facebook, we do have Facebook and YouTube. I'm hoping that someone will give me a thumbs up or making sure that they can hear you as well. I believe so far so good. I think we're doing great. Would you ready to move on?
Yeah. Well, in regard to you and I having dialogue and discussion about solutions, one of what I feel is a challenge to all listeners and to other colleagues of mine, not here locally, but in other parts of the country that I interact with, and particularly interesting enough in regard to prisons on the East Coast, and now I'm doing something in Jamaica. But what I'm speaking of, the way to deal with violence is how do you move to change that energy of people violating one another is based on a reality that we have learned we have learned and understand how to be violent.
Right.
We have never really had a comprehensive initiative or programs of education. Let's use a simple word, a program of learning how to be nonviolent.
Right.
And that's a scary word for a lot of people. I was just in a discussion on 2 or 3 occasions about doing nonviolent training. And of course, in the dialogue, the word came up, well, if somebody's getting ready to violate me being violent, shouldn't I defend myself and being nonviolent? And they asked me, they said, is being defensive, is that being nonviolent? I said, being defensive is a part of the technique of nonviolence. Now, to talk about nonviolence training is to go into some whole new comprehensive attitudes and behaviors and experiences of persons in the training program and initiative. And what I've been talking with you about establishing some programs where we teach nonviolence. Interesting enough, it's been my experience that I found out one of the best places, and do not take this as the only way, but working with those who are somewhat confined, I had it and found it more easier to talk about and instruct in nonviolence because of them being in prison. And see, nonviolence is not just how you behave, it's how you think about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, you who are in ministries, call the first 4 books of the Second Testament, which you are referred to as the New Testament, you call it the Gospels. Now, the word gospel is a Greek word for what? Good news.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the good news paradigm or the good news message, the good news message is not about violating people. It's about loving people. It's about forgiving people. It's about how you want others to treat you as you would want to be treated. So we have a lot of bad news situations, but we don't have the good news methodologies. Nonviolence is an instructional methodology
Mm-hmm.
that teaches people first. I found out, and having had the experience, and having fortunately gone overseas in various cultures, that a lot of us are violent because we violate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are angry at somebody else they haven't forgiven, and at the same time, we haven't forgiven ourselves.
Right.
So we function in a society that sounds philosophical, but it's a reality. We fear
Mm-hmm.
to love, and we love to fear. And the word that falls in between that, we have a hard time trusting.
Mm-hmm.
And in the black experience, in this culture in which we are in this Western world, as I'll use it that way, here in America, we have a tough time of trusting one another,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a real situation.
Mm-hmm.
I have said to students at the university that in the black experience, we have worked hard at trying to be accepted
Mm-hmm.
by what I call our oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
And we have not yet accepted our own acceptance that we are children of God and we're free in that dynamic.
Right.
And our freedom lies in our ability to work with one another and trust one another. And at the same time, when we have a fault,
Mm-hmm.
be able to recognize and forgive. It's what I call using. Sometimes I do it at funerals. People are not happy about it, but I
Right.
use an old Catholic prayer that they call it by Francis of Assisi.
Right.
Say, "Let me be a channel of peace."
Mm-hmm.
The saying goes, I'm going to do it long. It says, "Lord, make me a channel of thy peace. For where there is hatred, I bring love. And where there is something wrong, I bring the spirit of forgiveness." And it's a
Right.
long series of that. And it's something of changing your thought process,
Right.
not about others, but how you think about yourself.
Well, you know what, Dr. Brown, you write in the sermon that I preached on Sunday. I talked about, the fact of how we think. And I think that our thoughts really play a key role in how we carry out our life. And, the Lord wants to renew our minds. He wants to regulate our minds. He wants to get us to get away from those evil things and adopt the good things that he has designed for his people. Now, I do have access to a number that everyone can call if you want to be a part of the show. You can call 317-239-1310 to be a part of this show. I want to ask a question as those I see those are calling. And I got Larry that's on hold. I want to ask a question, and that question is, do we think nonviolence training will help the way we think? And I don't know if Larry wants to tackle that or not. Hey, Larry, how's it going?
Oh, just fine. Keep them working, and that's the only thing that saves you from a bunch of foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
But when I turned the radio on, Anthony,
Mm-hmm.
I tried to say, I don't know who's talking now, but it's as if I were listening to a white supremacist. As if I were listening to a person who thinks that our children don't deserve to be in the common school or the district schools, but they should go to some school that doesn't have any funding or anything else, and that thinks that they can come on and use convictional language, which means nothing in reality. So past that program, I was chastised the other day for talking about Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was trafficking slaves to Canada, certainly. The Quakers did not want anything to do with black people because they knew they were God's creatures, but they said they were an inferior beast. So they wanted to get them out of our country, and Harriet Tubman, she sure helped to do that. And she was getting paid for each shipment. And by the way, 80% of the people that she took from down south in the hot climate down there up to Canada to freeze to death. And that's what happened. You can look at the statistics. If you take somebody from one country to another country who's illiterate, who has no training or anything else, he's going to be the same thing he was that he left. He's going to be a slave, and that's what she was doing, getting paid for each successful slave that she brought up there to sell into slavery in Canada. So that's what that was all about.
Right.
And she had a gun so she could kill any slave that tried to revolt and get away. But this is repulsive when you hear people talk about white supremacy and racism They use it to cover up the atrocities they commit every day. Thanks, Anthony.
Hold on, Larry. Hold on for
Okay,
one
I'll stay
second.
right here.
Hold on for 1 second. Because I know that a lot of times you say things that people need to research, and some will agree and disagree. But you said something that kind of triggered a thought that concerns me, because if that's true, and I'm not astute enough to know either way. I've heard the traditional story. I've read the traditional story. Have not had a chance to research all of that. But one thing I do see is a pattern of behavior as it relates to how we are selling one another out. I see that that's very common. I see that there are those who have knowledge, and they almost make the younger generation pay a price before they are willing to invite them into their circles, or they're willing to engage with them in a way that would help them overcome what they need to overcome. And so, I mean,
Well,
how can we, Larry? How can we? And I know you're probably pressed for time or whatever, and I want to make sure I get all the callers in there. But how can we heal from this atrocity of slavery and move on toward, like Dr. Brown said, he did say something that I totally agree with, is trusting one another. How can we turn around this thing? We're going to try some things, and we're going to talk to the mayor and others about this. But how can we turn this thing around to where we can start speaking well of one another and helping one another to accomplish where we're trying to go?
That's what Jim Crow and segregation was all about. But right now, Anthony, and then I'll make it short, we are dealing with the product of affirmative action. Back in the 60s, my friend Jocelyn told me she recruited, right? She went out and they told her to get the worst ones that she could find to bring as tokens to their corporations. And that's what we're dealing with right now. People who are totally incompetent and afraid that their incompetence will be found out. You look at the woman with the critical race theory. She's the ignorant color woman, and she's at Yale because of affirmative action. But affirmative action is all part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that surely degraded us and have us right where we're at now. We're still promoting that. We're still taking our kids out of the district. The district has almost a $3 billion endowment, Anthony. You go out in Whiteland and Carmel and see those big, beautiful houses, all funded. But we think that our kids should be in a bootleg school with no money, building condemned or abandoned. And that's what we think our kids deserve. Degrade. When you degrade and you disenfranchise, those are both words that are punishment. They're punishment. Our kids have not been charged with the crime or even intimated that they committed anything, yet we still punish them. We still degrade. We still disenfranchise. And we expect them to go along with it, but the people that are doing it, they can never get enough money to overcome that shame and overcome those atrocities that they perform against our children right now. And I thoroughly have researched the whole common school system here in the state of Indiana, and I know everything about what's going on right now. But the colored people are doing it. They're being paid by the mind trust, feathering their nests, filling their bellies full of slop every time they can, and selling our kids out like property. That's what they're doing. And there's no way they can not deny debate either one of them. When they come any way, can come, I'll shame them out of off the stage. So there you go. We'll never do anything about it.
All right. Well, thank you, Larry, for your call. Dr. Brown, I know that's one of your favorite people that call in, Larry. And some things I think I agree, but then something I will have to do some research on to really kind of see where he's coming from. I never want to dismiss anyone who calls in and their point of view, because I believe everyone has a right to share their point of view. Whether we agree or not is not necessarily what I want to try to promote. But I do want to ask you a question, the same question, Dr. Brown, because there does seem to be, and I didn't hear any solutions from Larry. That's what I was hoping, that he would give me something here locally that we could do to kind of rally and correct some things. That's what I was kind of looking for. So I'm going to ask you that same question, Dr. Brown. I mean,
Of course, we can talk about the problem. We know the problem. The problem is really extensive. It's really deep. It's deeply rooted in the soul of our hearts. And we want to see. Okay, well, what are some of the solutions that we can do? Not blaming anyone else. Not looking at past as much. And how can we learn from what we know and move forward?
I would answer that question if that's the question. You ask it. You ask Larry a loaded question, but I'll respond in my own kind of way. The primary initiative we've got to do within the Black experience is we as different organizations,
Mm-hmm.
fraternities and sororities and churches and even businesses,
Mm-hmm.
we must come together and unite.
Right.
I mean, we need to work on unifying ourselves. I'm very impressed. Let me tell you, I'm very impressed with the Jewish community, and I use that word Jewish community. They are united. I'm impressed with the Quakers. They are united, which I interact with. I am impressed by the Amish community, and guess what? I'm really kind of impressed by the Islam community, both what we would call the Black Muslims, even though we don't know all, but at the same time, you've got the blacks and you've got the Orthodox Muslims that have a tendency. But in regard to the Black culture here, we have to work together. I remember one of the nice mantras, I call it mantras, working together works. And that came out of the Indiana Black Expo in 1972, 73, 74. I saw unity in that experience. So come back to answer your question. If there's something we need to prioritize, is prioritize coming together, not to compete, but cooperate on one primary goal. And one of the best places to unite is in the business of economics.
You know what, Dr. Brown, you just said something, Doc, and like you normally do. That's why I appreciate your presence on the show. Now, I'm about ready to set some stuff off, so I know some callers are probably gonna start calling now. But we have this strong, and I was talking to our producer about this. We have this strong connection toward Juneteenth, and then we say no, don't celebrate 4th of July, and so we get a one accord. Don't celebrate 4th of July, and then there's another movement, Me Too movement. And let's burn the men in the state because they done this and done that and whatnot. And I'm not diminishing the fact that there are those who are predators that need to be put up under the jail. I'm not minimizing that, but there's still this political aspect to everything that's happening, as far as how we are to come together, But then when you look at the economic side, and we're saying, hey, let's learn not to be violent, and let's come together so that we can do business with one another, then that becomes boring. That is actually a boring conversation for folks, because it just seems like we have been drilled for so long to go to work, go to college, go to work, make somebody else money, to the point that when we say, hey, let's be the business, let's be the grant, let's be the ones who are leading our own destiny, then we tend to get overlooked. But we have a caller, anonymous. Go ahead with your question or comment.
I have a comment. I just came from Luger Towers. It is absolutely disgusting in there. I have never seen that building so bad. But
where are you saying?
Luger Towers.
Luger Towers, what is that?
It's I guess it's considered public housing.
Public housing. And you say that it's disgusting over there.
Disgusting as far as no maintenance.
No maintenance.
Walk in, it's dirty.
Dirty.
The elevator's dirty.
Is it safe? Is the elevator safe?
The elevator looks safe.
The elevator's safe. Okay. Is there spillage in in the hallways and
There
whatnot?
was the trash inside of a bin.
Trash.
It was just sitting in there, and I had to use that to go up to the apartment that I was going in to get the trash
Okay.
out of that person's door.
Okay.
But I have never seen that building so bad, and I don't know where all the money is. IHA, I know they have gotten money.
Okay. IHA, we know that they have received
We
money.
need jobs. I mean, that job's right there. A
Okay.
cleaning crew.
Now let me ask you this. Are the residents complaining about the atmosphere and what's going on? Is it
I got
because
mad at me when I said I discussed. One guy got mad at me, but everybody else was like, yeah. They wasn't saying nothing, but they was like thinking, oh, somebody came in there and recognized.
well look, put a petition together. I think I know who this is, but she said anonymous, so I'm gonna keep it anonymous.
He's so cool.
Well listen,
Like I said, they know my voice.
yeah, but listen, put together a petition. We'll see what we can do to get it in the right hands so that we can deal with that situation because everyone deserves to have a clean environment, especially when you said Section 8. I'm quite sure there could be possibly some children living there, and we want to make sure everybody is safe. I don't know how much that would have to do with the holiday and extra trash with everybody celebrating the 4th, but hopefully that is the case and we can move forward toward cleanup. And so thank you so much for say the name of that place again.
Luger Towers.
Luger Towers, and it's located where?
It's back on, what street is that? Is that Alabama? Off of Alabama.
Off of Alabama, sort of.
Between Alabama and College.
Yeah, okay. Alabama College, Central area. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Anonymous, for your call.
No problem. All right.
All right. Take care now. Now, Dr. Brown, let's get back to the subject at hand. For those who want to call in, you're welcome to call in. 317-239-1310 is the number. But let me say this, man. Why come we can't fight for causes that really mean something? And because I was telling my producer earlier, and I keep saying this, maybe we just had a great talk in passing. Unfortunately, we put the value of Black lives on not as high as I think we should. We say Black lives matter when we don't want to be shot by the police. I understand that. But we don't rally when we say between the ages 18 and 30, African-American males kill more people than any other group combined. So it has to be tied into economics. I was speaking with my wife, and she said when it was time for her to get her car loan, they made her credit out to be $750. But then when we were trying to get a home loan to make some improvements on her home, then all of a sudden she had a problem with her credit. Dr. Brown, something's in the water, man. I can't understand why we can get loans for stuff that we know that quickly depreciates, but when it comes to property and land and having access to things of that nature, then we tend to have a problem. Okay, here's Shauna, my lovely wife. Go ahead, Shauna, with your comment or question.
I wanted to address the question that you said you asked. Is there a solution? I don't know what your exact question you proposed, but I guess I have a comment.
Okay.
Based on what I have observed with the young folks, and I don't want to stereotype a particular group of people, but from my experience, I feel like the millennials, but they have a different perspective as it relates to keeping the community together. I see these young people carrying guns. A lot of them are not licensed. And they live by this certain rule, like they don't have the brotherly love that we used to have. I remember when we were growing up, we all cared about each other differently. Now they live by this code, kill at will. If it's not, they don't no longer talk things out anymore. They, if you do something to me, I'm gonna take your life. And the guns are easily accessible. So now they have guns, So we see the homicide rate growing at an alarming rate based on the perspective of our young people.
Right. Right.
You
Between the ages of 18 and 30. Right.
We're not going to, settle this over maybe even a hand fight. I mean, not that that's the solution, but it used to be a time that guys would, duke it out with with their hands. Nowadays, if you, step on my shoe, I'm going to kill you.
Right. Right.
So I'm basically, if we could change the mindset, what can we do to change the perspective, the mindset? How do we get back to the brotherly love?
Right.
Having some compassion, and you used the word a lot yesterday, empathy. Where do we, where's the empathy?
Right.
In our community. So I just wanted to, I don't know, maybe the young people that are listening, maybe some of them can call in.
Right.
What are you guys, what do you need? Well, I mean, how can we as a community help provide a different perspective for our young people?
I think that's a great question. Absolutely. And if we have some young people out there that would like to call in and share based on that comment, we do see that there's a problem with young people based on how they are living their life out. It just seems as though the actual caring and concern and commitment to brotherhood and sisterhood is absent from our community. And I think a lot of that has to deal with economics, like we were talking about before. And I mentioned this right before you called. You said something about how when you were able to go for the loan for your car, your credit score was one thing, but then when you looked at how we can do our improvement on a house, and then your credit was another thing. Got a little bit of background in your background behind you as well, but
because what I know was that they ran the credit for the car, and so that caused the credit score to take a little bit of a dip. But again, we pay the car payment for 1 year. So the car payment's paid for 1 year. How do you take so anyway, that's a different, that's a different story. We can, address that another day, but exactly. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your call. Is that all the comments you need to share right now?
Yes, it is. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. And she's going to be hosting Lady Shauna from Community Church Indy, who is my lovely wife, is going to be actually hosting this show on the 12th, and she's going to be talking about autism. So I'm just giving a little shout out to my producer to kind of prep her for the 12th. Then Shauna will be coming on and hosting the show to talk about autism on the 12th. Dr. Brown, multi-layer problems. There's been talk with the compromising of leadership and how it has happened historically and how it's affecting our community. And now we see a troubled youth environment. People have totally dismissed the actual respect factor when it comes to, young people having that admiration for older people.
Can I let me give an insert there? That's
okay.
Just described. It's prevalent, but it goes back to a conversation. Unfortunately, it's in quote that I had opportunity with James Baldwin back in the '60s when he came into Selma. And we spent some time, and he makes a statement that is very clear in regard. He says one thing about children: they usually don't pay attention to what you say.
Right.
But they pay a lot of attention in what they see in us.
Right.
And a lot of the violence that these young people are perpetuating on one another and the disrespect, as we say, that they learn that in our behavior.
Say that, Dr. Brown.
So they have learned that they see. And I don't want to make it so ugly, but
say it.
The adults in our black experience, be they male or female, have taught these young people to be the way they are by the way we have behaved with each other. Now I'll flip it to another dimension. Our media system,
there it is,
does an excellent job in portraying violence. You pull up the screen, and how much violence do you see? Even in the game.
Yeah.
Even in the language.
Yeah.
Even in our language.
In the music.
Yeah. The music.
Oh, yeah.
And all of those do what? They manifest money.
Yeah.
It's not about money.
Mm-hmm.
It is money.
It is money.
And then again, coming back, one of the most successful initiatives where black folk united, and we don't want to go back to it, was when I was I did visit, when I was in Montgomery as a youngster.
Mm-hmm.
People did not ride the bus.
Mm-hmm.
That Montgomery bus boycott united folk, because what we did was unite with our pocketbooks.
That's right.
Today, we still have that opportunity as organizations and people. And if our young people saw what they call the elderly and the old, if they watched us be united,
mm-hmm.
and I don't want to place the blame on them because they're only learning.
Is going on, and we don't acknowledge what you just said, because our examples of what we're doing speaks volumes. And I was just looking at a video my wife showed me. I got Anonymous on the call. Just hold on for 1 second, Anonymous. But I noticed that the mother had put her daughter on a video, and she's singing how bad of a bee she is. And that's within the song. She's a bad bee or something about a bee, and y'all know what the bee means. And then I see even Caucasian women with their daughters, and they're talking about how they got a big bad vagina, and they're doing this with their children. And it's amazing to me how vile people have become in relations to how they're raising their children. You a bad birthday bee. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Then of course you have young people, they want to smoke, and they'll smoke right in front of you. I mean, it used to be a time when if we got caught doing something like that, or even if it was a compromise, they would tell you to go to the back or go to the woods. But it's just so many different things that are happening, and I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody. I'm just saying what I see, and I'm not telling anybody who I see it with. But it's certainly a concern that we have to look at these different videos that we're seeing in Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and we're seeing all this stuff take place. So I think Shauna has a great point. I think that you have a great point, Dr. Brown, about how we shouldn't blame the children when they're learning it from the parent. All right, go ahead, Anonymous.
Yes, how are you?
Great, how are you?
I'm fine. I agree with the man who's talking. What's his name? I'm sorry.
Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown.
Dr. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with him. Every generation, as long as I can remember, I'm 62 now, but every generation has gotten worse and worse. I don't want to say his name, but anytime you have women on TV,
mm-hmm.
What you said was even worse when what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you have TV in water, baby black man, and you have negative things to say, putting women in a negative atmosphere, negative,
mm-hmm.
except for one,
mm-hmm.
and you have people, women hopping on their leg, and you say, "Oh, that was a good move." I'm just gonna say Eddie Murphy
Mm-hmm.
except for the one all the women were, to put it in a negative context,
Mm-hmm.
they were demeanored.
Mm-hmm.
The late daughter or sister, she was treated like she was nobody. I mean, the whole atmosphere was wrong. And yet, the women, young people, oh, that's a good movie. It's not a good movie. It was derogatory. It was negative toward women.
Mm-hmm.
It was an insult to black women everywhere. We can't see it. And yet, we're going to applaud stuff like that. I don't even know what the stuff you're talking about with the rap music and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But, we started that stuff. I remember back in the 70s and 80s
mm-hmm.
with Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy, all the negative, nasty stuff they said.
Mm-hmm.
And we brought that into the forefront. And we got all this shooting and all this killing and all this murder going on because it comes from somewhere. It has to come from somewhere.
Right.
And the next generation brought that stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it all started, I hate to say this, maybe even before this, but when women started getting birth control, women, we got independent, we start being promiscuous. When men start being promiscuous, marriages started to deteriorate in the 70s and the 80s. Nobody wants to get married anymore. And it's because of what happened before that.
Right.
Look at the generations before that. Look how it turned different.
Right.
Back in the 70s, there were a lot of people getting divorced. In the 80s, it got worse. In the 90s, now majority of the kids don't even want to get married who are young.
Yeah, and I hear a comment by Shauna saying that it was the crack era. Now, let me ask you this question before you get off the line very quickly. What do you think some solutions can be? Because me and Dr. Brown, we're trying to come up with some solutions. We're going to be looking at launching a nonviolent campaign. And Dr. Brown knows that this was done also with Dr. King and whatnot, teaching us to be nonviolent and showing us how that we can invest in economics and move our, spiritually move our community forward. What do you think right now, some of the things you might see that could be some solutions?
I think the economy, we need to work on the economy. I think that's good for we as African Americans. But at the same time, you can have a whole lot of money and be rotten to the core.
Right.
So you have to have a spiritual awakening within yourself.
Right.
You have to have a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Particularly young people who are out there right now, who don't have families, don't have nobody to turn to, who are parents are absent in the home,
right,
who are looking at TV and getting their information from TV and violence. They need a spiritual awakening that only Jesus Christ can give, and his death, burial, and resurrection. That's the only way this generation is going to make it, because the stuff, I don't even watch TV for the most part. It's so much negative.
Right.
Killing and shooting, and I said, I'm not going to even watch. Only time I watch TV is to watch the news or watch something that's positive or uplifting.
Right.
But I don't even watch the TV because it's so bad. It's just it's been got ridiculous.
It is. And so, Anonymous, guess what? I just brought a church van today, and I'm inviting those who want to come and bring their children. We're going to have activities and games, and of course, we're trying to do a Kings Island trip. We're located at 4501 East 32nd Street. So we're trying to bring the young people in to learn about Jesus Christ, because I do believe having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ makes all the difference in the world. Thank you so much for your call, all right?
Thank you.
All right, look like we have Reverend Phillips on the line. Go ahead, Reverend Phillips. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing blessed and highly favored.
I know you blessed, Reverend.
I'm at work right now.
You at work?
I'm on my break.
Well,
I'm on my break, but God is still good.
God is good.
Hey, let me. You said you're gonna be teaching the youth about the Bible.
Yeah, and we're gonna teach them about the Bible and nonviolence, how to learn how to not respond off your anger and process things better and don't shoot at people, stuff like that. Yes, sir.
Okay. You need to educate some of these parents too.
There you go. And Dr. Brown, that's who we're gonna start with. And we're gonna start with the parents, Dr. Brown. And we're gonna start with the Dr. Brown, and we're gonna start with the parents.
Yes, start with the parents.
Yeah.
Now we need to start with our young, cause you know when you come up to see, we used to do that down there in Evansville.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have after school program.
There it is,
and we used to teach them about the Bible. So we asked a young person name the 12 disciples.
Well,
and that's a shame. That's a shame when you ask that young person name the 12 disciples. First thing came out of his mouth was Snoop Dogg.
Watch out, Reverend. We know Snoop Dogg ain't no.
We know Snoop Dogg is not no.
No,
we got folks don't know about that.
They failed.
This see, when we was a kid, our grandmama, our parents taught us the 23rd Psalm.
Yeah. I just preached that, Reverend. I just preached that at a funeral.
I know you rock the house.
Oh man, God moved like never before, Reverend.
I know it, and you know what? And when we tell them about Jesus,
come on, Doc.
We got to